The moon hung low, casting an eerie silver glow over the entrance of a cavern hidden deep within the forest. The 6 adventurers stood motionless, staring at the jagged maw of the labyrinth that seemed to breathe as if alive. Dungeon Master appeared silently behind them, his face shadowed by the dim light. "This is no ordinary maze," he began, his voice echoing softly. "It shifts, it tests, and it consumes. But within lies the key to your return home." Their gazes shifted from the mysterious figure to the entrance, and despite the mounting tension, Hank, their leader, stepped forward with determination etched on his face. As the group ventured into the labyrinth, the walls seemed to pulse, shifting imperceptibly with each step they took. Diana, with her athletic grace, led the way, her staff glowing faintly in the dim light. The air was heavy with an unspoken sense of dread, and shadows danced along the stone walls. Presto, ever cautious, trailed close behind, clutching his hat tightly as though it might hold some semblance of protection. When a faint whisper echoed from the depths, Sheila froze. "Did you hear that?" she whispered, her voice trembling. The maze was alive, and it was watching them. Hours seemed to stretch into eternity as they navigated the twisting corridors. Eric, ever the skeptic, voiced his frustrations. "Why do we always end up in these death traps?" He muttered, his shield held defensively in front of him. Bobby, the youngest, remained uncharacteristically quiet, his club resting on his shoulder as his eyes darted nervously around. Suddenly, the ground shifted beneath their feet, and a narrow bridge appeared, leading over a dark, bottomless chasm. "Step carefully," warned Hank, his voice steady despite the pounding in his chest. The labyrinth wasn't just testing their courage. It was feeding on their fears. The bridge swayed precariously with each step. Sheila's invisibility cloak fluttered as she steadied herself, her fingers brushing against the ancient ropes. Below, the void seemed to call out, promising doom to anyone who dared fall. Diana, agile and sure-footed, moved quickly, turning back to encourage the others. "We faced worse," she said with a forced smile. Presto hesitated, muttering a spell under his breath, but the magic fizzled. "Not now," he cursed. Eric groaned, gripping the ropes tighter. "I swear, if we survive this, I'm demanding a vacation." Their bond was tested with every step, but their unity held firm. Reaching the other side, they found themselves in a vast chamber lit by an otherworldly blue glow. In the center stood an ornate pedestal, and atop it, a shimmering crystal pulsated with light. "That must be it," Bobby exclaimed, rushing forward, but Hank pulled him back. "Wait," he cautioned. The dungeon master's words echoed in his mind. "Choose wisely, for the labyrinth does not forgive." As they approached cautiously, the walls of the chamber began to shift, revealing grotesque figures emerging from the shadows. The adventurers readied themselves, their weapons gleaming. The labyrinth wasn't going to let them take the crystal without a fight. Diana was the first to strike, her staff whirling in a blur as she knocked back the nearest creature. Presto fumbled with his hat, pulling out a spell that cast a bright flash, momentarily blinding their attackers. "Nice work, Presto!" Eric shouted, slamming his shield into another creature. Bobby swung his club with all his might, protecting Sheila as she attempted to retrieve the crystal. The creatures grew more aggressive, their forms shifting with the labyrinth's movements. Hank fired arrows with precision, each one finding its mark. "Hold the line," he commanded, rallying his friends as the room descended into chaos. Just as Sheila's fingers closed around the crystal, the labyrinth roared, its walls convulsing as if in pain. The chamber began to collapse, stone and debris raining from above. "We need to move," Hank shouted, pulling Bobby toward the exit. Diana covered their retreat, her staff glowing brightly as she fended off the remaining creatures. Presto conjured a protective barrier, buying them precious seconds. "I've got it," Sheila cried, clutching the crystal tightly. The team sprinted through the collapsing corridors, their hearts pounding. The labyrinth seemed determined to trap them forever, its anger shaking the ground beneath their feet. Bursting into a new corridor, they found themselves in a mirror-lined hall. Their reflections stared back at them, but something was off. The reflections moved independently, mimicking their fears and doubts. Eric froze as his reflection spoke. "You'll never be good enough," it sneered. Sheila's reflection taunted her with whispers of betrayal. "Ignore them," Hank yelled, his own reflection mirroring his every move. "They're illusions." Gathering their courage, they smashed the mirrors, shattering the illusions. The labyrinth let out a guttural groan, its power weakening. They pressed on, the crystal's glow lighting their way. At the labyrinth's heart, they encountered a figure shrouded in darkness. "Who dares disturb my domain?" It boomed. The dungeon master appeared once more, his expression grave. "This is the warden," he said. "Defeat him, and the crystal will grant you the power to return home." The warden attacked with ferocity, his shadowy form shifting and growing. The adventurers fought valiantly, their unity their greatest strength. Each strike, spell, and maneuver brought them closer to victory, but the warden's power was immense. Together, Hank called out, rallying his friends for one final coordinated assault. With a blinding flash, the warden dissipated, his shadowy form disintegrating into nothingness. The labyrinth shuddered, its walls cracking as light flooded the chamber. The crystal floated upward, its glow intensifying. "The choice is yours," Dungeon Master said. "Return home or free the innocent soul trapped here." The adventurers exchanged glances, their faces reflecting the weight of the decision. Bobby stepped forward. "We can't just leave them," he said quietly. The others nodded in agreement. Together, they placed their hands on the crystal, their resolve unwavering. The labyrinth seemed to pause, as if acknowledging their choice. The light from the crystal enveloped them, and they found themselves in a tranquil garden at the labyrinth's edge. A young woman stood before them, her eyes wide with gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered. The dungeon master appeared, his expression soft. "Your selflessness has broken the labyrinth's curse. You may yet find your way home." The adventurers felt a glimmer of hope, but their journey was far from over. The labyrinth's entrance loomed behind them, a reminder of the challenges they had faced. They had saved an innocent life, but their path home remained uncertain. As they prepared to leave, the young woman revealed a hidden truth. "The labyrinth's power isn't gone," she said. "It lies dormant, waiting for those brave enough to challenge it again." Her words hung in the air as the adventurers considered their next steps. The dungeon master watched silently, his enigmatic smile hinting at secrets yet to be uncovered. "Your journey continues," he said, "but you are stronger for what you've endured." The labyrinth's shadows stretched behind them, a testament to the trials they had overcome. Walking away from the labyrinth, the adventurers felt a sense of camaraderie stronger than ever. Eric, for once, didn't complain, and Presto's confidence seemed to grow with every step. Bobby and Sheila walked side by side, their bond as siblings unshakable. Diana and Hank exchanged a glance, unspoken gratitude passing between them. The dungeon master's voice echoed in their minds. The greatest challenges forged the strongest bonds. Though the road ahead was uncertain, they knew they could face it together. The crystal's faint glow served as a beacon, guiding their way. Far in the distance, the labyrinth shifted once more, its walls rearranging as if preparing for new challenges. The adventurers paused, their gazes lingering on the horizon. "One day," Sheila said softly, "we'll find our way home." The dungeon master's figure faded into the shadows, leaving only his parting words. "Home is not a place. It is the strength you carry within." With renewed resolve, they turned their backs on the labyrinth, stepping into the unknown with hearts full of hope and determination. The labyrinth's faint hum faded into silence, but its presence lingered in their minds. It had tested them, broken them, and rebuilt them stronger than before. As they ventured into the wilderness, the light of the crystal grew brighter, a reminder that their journey was far from over. Somewhere beyond the horizon lay their true destiny. And though the path was uncertain, one thing was clear. Together, they could overcome anything. The labyrinth of shadows had not defeated them. It had made them heroes.